Hi everyone, my name's Charlie and I have 100% success rate of winning PIP. That's whether it's claims, mandatory reconsiderations, which is the posh word for appeal, reviews, and I've only done one tribunal, but we won. Okay, so 100% success rate. I also suffer from chronic illness myself. Am I recording? Yeah. I'm great with PIP, crap with technology. Because I suffer from chronic illness, I have a severe form of arthritis, so I'm in varying levels of pain 24/7, and I suffer from chronic fatigue. And when I say chronic fatigue, I mean the type of fatigue where my body can shut down and I can sleep for 36 hours. Like right now, I'm struggling to hold my head up. But this is really important. My channel is getting more and more views, and every day I'm getting emails from people desperate for help, okay? And what is clear is, well, the whole process sucks. I think we can agree it sucks. But what's clear is there's no training. So today, this is critical. This is so important. I would not win PIP claims if I didn't go through this information. It's the behind the scenes PIP scoring points. This is not a secret. The government don't keep it a secret. Admittedly, they don't like promote it. But everything you do has to be about these points. I'm going to go through them with you. I'm going to give you examples. And I am going to be brutally honest with you. By the way, I'm sorry about the background. I'm losing my home. You know, I've lost my job. I'm losing my home. So it's a bit of going through change. So yeah, sorry about that. But I've discovered that actually a couple of things. One, you don't care what I look like. The fact that I've got dirty hair and stuff, you don't care because you understand. Because you wouldn't be watching this if you didn't suffer from chronic illness or if you didn't have a loved one that suffered from chronic illness. So I really am grateful to those of you that just accept me for how I am. And also I've discovered that you don't care what the background's like so long as I'm providing you with value. Hence why we are now recording this guide. Before we start on these points, let's get some myths out the way, okay? First of all, no one, that's not true. That's a great start, isn't it? Right. If you are terminally ill, you are entitled to PIP and it's really easy to get it, right? Apart from people who are terminally ill, no one, it doesn't matter what your condition is, no one will just automatically get PIP. It's a myth. When you Google things about conditions, if you read the small print, PIP just explains the highest number of conditions that are eligible to claim PIP, right? And it doesn't matter how many conditions you've got. There seems to be on PIP chat groups, which I don't advise you go on because there's so much inaccurate information, and sometimes I feel like it's a competition on who's got the most conditions and takes the most meds. That's not, my channel is not that environment. Doesn't matter how many conditions you've got. And it doesn't matter what the condition is. So for example, I have a form of arthritis. I get full PIP because my condition totally cripples my life. But someone else can have the same type of arthritis as me, which is psoriatic arthritis, same type of arthritis, and they are literally able to live able-bodied, which I'm really happy for them, and a tiny bit jealous. So it doesn't matter about the conditions. Don't get caught up in the conditions. Okay, and it's about how you communicate the impact on your daily living and or mobility. Okay, so we've sorted that out. Evidence. Oh my god, but I don't know what's happened online and with the people that are just bullshitting everyone. You don't need 50 million pages of evidence. Just forget about evidence. PIP's main basis is how does your condition impact your daily living and or your mobility. It is not about 300 pages of evidence that shows that once when you were 9 years old, you're now 40, but when you were 9 years old, you broke your wrist. They don't care about that. They're not interested in that. They don't need to see every single time you got prescribed meds. They don't need to see it. There is so much misconception out there about evidence. I was going to say meds. Evidence. Now, every claim I've won, which is all the range of them, excluding the tribunal, I never submitted any evidence, not for anyone, because my understanding was very clearly is about how you communicate your daily living. PIP themselves, DWP, will check with your GP. They will check to make sure you've been diagnosed with what you're saying. They will do certain checks. So I didn't worry about submitting evidence for anyone, because PIP can triple check that what they're saying, that they've actually got those conditions. Your GP cannot tell PIP what it is like for you when you're preparing a meal, because your GP is not with you in your home while you're preparing a meal. Your specialist cannot tell PIP what it's like for you when you're getting dressed, because they're not with you when you're getting dressed. So please don't get caught up with evidence. And for those of you with fibro, yes, you can get PIP. I have one PIP for people with fibro, and let's face it, your condition is a nightmare because it's so difficult to get diagnosed, because it's basically ruling things out. You can get PIP. You can get PIP for mental health. I've helped people get PIP with mental health issues. Don't get caught up in all this evidence. And if you're working with me on stuff, do not send me hundreds of pages of evidence. I am going to do a separate guide on this, on what I think is relevant and what I have won claims with. They're already available online. If you check the tribunal submissions, the tribunal submission guide, that's the good evidence. And even then I put too much in. I think I put like 10 pages in. That was too much evidence. It was too much. It was, I was inexperienced. I'm getting better at that. Another important thing is, please be careful if you're going to pay someone to help you. Yes, I'm hearing these horror stories about these companies that are like, you don't have to pay anything until you win. But then, get this, then like 30 days later, or whatever many days it was, this gentleman received a letter saying, you owe us this money. If you don't pay it, we're taking you to court because we've done so much work on your case. Now, this gentleman, really switched on guy, went straight to a solicitor. Solicitor explained it's complete bullshit, do not pay it. If they try and take you to court, give us a shout and we'll fight your case for you. Please be really careful. Now, there is a link in my description where you can book me as a consultant, but my preference is that you don't have to. I want to provide everything online so you can do as much as possible by yourself for free, okay? But I also need to buy food, hence why I'm doing consultancy. So, but please be careful. I am going to get reviews and references as well, so people can check me out, because now I've realised how many dodgy people are out there. I think it's important that you can check that I'm basically who I say I am. Due to the amount of harlatans, is that the right word? People that are talking shit, that are taking money from people that can't afford it, those people that are out there offering help when they don't actually know what they're doing. I'm going to be putting a link in my description that goes to my LinkedIn account, so you can check who I am. You can see references from my prior employment as a logistics specialist, so you can see that I am actually a reputable person. And in the next coming couple of months, I'll be getting reviews from people that I've helped in the past, so you can see that as well if you want to book me. But again, I would rather you be able to use the stuff that I'm putting for free on YouTube than have to pay me, okay? That's the goal. Everyone I've helped, even since I've been doing YouTube, and the people that have contacted me for help from YouTube, which is, it's a lot. It's great. We're growing as a community quite quickly. Everyone that I've helped absolutely didn't get the right amount of points until we worked together, because they hadn't spent ages going through this scoring system. This is critical to your success. Critical. You don't need me. You need to use this scoring system. So let's get to it. First of all, this is not mine. This is the DWP's. Yeah, I just googled it and saved it down. Okay, so this isn't my personal one. If anyone wants this, just drop me an email. Email's in the description, and I will send you this. Okay, I'm a bit tired, but I really want to get this recorded. Right. So the first thing, preparing food. I'm also discovering that there are many of you with learning disabilities where black text on a white background is a nightmare. And I think so many people have different colours that work for them that I can't provide for everyone. And also those people with dyslexia. So normally I wouldn't read out what you can see on the screen, but I am going to summarise. So for example, hang on. this is really important as well. If you're thinking, I don't get PIP for preparing food because I eat, Charlie. So because I eat, I can't claim it. No, you've got to watch every section of this. If you think, well, I get dressed, so I don't get points for that, please don't think that. If you are in pain, varying levels of pain 24/7, if you suffer from fatigue all the time, and if you have breathing difficulties, I need you to watch every single section, okay? Because I'm going to blow your mind, right? I promise. So preparing food. Do not think just because you're eating that you don't get points for this. That is not the case, right? Where it says can prepare and cook a meal unaided, no points. That's for like able-bodied people, right? That don't blink about cooking. That do not blink about going into the kitchen, standing at the sideboard and pottering around cooking a meal. That's for them. And I'm really happy if you fit into that category. Where it says use an aid or an appliance, some of these, if you don't have the aid, but you've adapted and using something similar, you have to make sure you state it. Right, I'm gonna pretty much stick with this company. This is not sponsored. Able World, if you're watching, I do want sponsorship for you because I do think you're a brilliant company. The staff have got great training. They're really good. This is a perch chair. Now, you can get them where they're tilted at angles. I've got one that's a bit tilted. So if you use a perch chair to prepare meals, 2 points. So you can see here that I've just Googled chopping devices. Now, what I have isn't on here. Like, you see that? It's got really good for a handle for if you have got hand pain. I used to use those before my hands got too bad. There's so many things available that could make our lives easier, but I think we're very ignorant, you know, because I think when you become chronically ill, for most of us, it sort of happens over time and you just adapt in your normal circumstances. You know, it's not like in our spare time we're looking up disability stuff because it's not exactly a sexy thing to look at, is it? I've got a chopper thing that was really good for chopping things up that actually my mum uses now. Be open-minded about that, please. If you could be open-minded about that, have a look. And remember that the whole point of the PIP process and what they really want to do is, if you're struggling at the moment, so say for example someone says, I cannot cook because I cannot stand. PIP will say, could we get you a perch chair? Because when you get PIP, they will link you with occupational health. So if you can be proactive about it, because in the questions it says, what help could you have for this? So you need to, you know, do a bit of research and see what there is. I'll try and do a guide on what I think are good aids, because there is a lot of crap out there. Right, this one is a challenge. So if you can use a microwave, it counts as you being able to cook and you only get 2 points. You only need 12 points in daily living, and there is a lot of sections to get enhanced PIP, okay? It's not that difficult to get PIP once you understand how to communicate it. Now, so for example, PIP see you in your assessment and you're moving your arms like what I am. I'm about to have a drink. You know, I've opened a bottle because my hands are doing pretty good at the moment. They'll be like, oh, she can use a microwave. I can press a button on a microwave. However, I decline as the day goes on. So first thing in the morning, I use a keyboard, which, you know, I could push a button on a microwave. But for me, and I think most people, the big meal that we have is in the late afternoon, you know, when you finished work, or what used to be work hours. And I am not safe at that time. I decline as the day goes on. Please write that down if that happens to you. Make a note of it. If you decline as the day goes on, it is really important. You will use it throughout your claim. So if you can use microwave, brilliant. If you have any conditions with major dietary needs, stand your ground on it that microwave isn't good enough, because I had no idea how much sugar and fat was in the pre-packaged meals until I started gaining weight and I was only eating 2 of them a day. And it's the horrendous. They are not healthy at all. So if you do have special dietary needs, this is not good enough for you. Okay. Needs prompting, 2 points. Now, if you suffer from chronic fatigue, odds are you've probably got someone prompting you. If you haven't, so you will miss meals, you need to say you need prompting. With PIP, it's a bit difficult because the way I had it explained to me when I was first going through the PIP process, I'm going to use the example about zips and buttons. I never wear anything with buttons and zips if I can help it, or if I do, I don't use them because it hurts my hands and I struggle with the coordination. Okay, I'm good at doing this, typing, but when it's gripping things, it hurts. I avoid it. Avoid. It was actually my PIP assessor that said to me, how are you with zips and buttons? And I said, oh no, I'm all right because I don't use them. And she went, what do you mean? And I said, well, I wear clothes that don't have them. Why? Because I can't do it. So she was like, so you can't do it. Why? I was like, because my hands. Because the arthritis. And she was like, right, so you would need an aid. And I'm like, well, no, because I wear clothes that don't need it. And she was like, no, you're not thinking about it right. When you look at your PIP assessment, we chronically ill that are limited by our conditions should be able to do everything we did pre-disability. So, sorry, just manoeuvring the cat. She really sort of made me go, oh, so, okay, if I was to wear clothes, because I used to wear a blouse to work, you know, try and look professional. That really went to pot in the final few years of my employment, and I wasn't that great at looking professional in the first place. I used to be a logistician, transport specialist. If I was going to wear those, I would have to use an aid, so I get points, even though I don't wear them because I don't want to have to use the aid. So for the PIP category, I get points. Does that make sense? We're going to keep going, and I'm going to try and give you examples, and hopefully this will make sense. If you've got any quick questions, just message me below, okay? Right, so on to the prompting. If you will go times without eating, because, say for example, you're in a situation where you're single, or you're like me and you're extremely single. They don't have a tick box for that yet on forms. Extremely single, that's the category I'm in. If you're in that situation like me, and you live alone, normally I live alone, but my mum and I are sharing, there's, you know, lots of stuff going on. I've got other vlogs on that. So you don't have anyone to prompt you. So there are times where you literally just won't eat. Or there are times where you're not well enough to do yourself a meal. You literally don't have the energy to go to the kitchen. So you'll lie in bed and eat a couple of packets of biscuits, right? You need prompting, you need assistance, okay? Even if you don't have it, you're in the situation where you need it. So you need to put something in your PIP claim about, I would benefit from prompting, okay? Because I will go without eating. And then you need to explain approximately, on average, how many days a week you won't eat your meals. I do think there's quite a few of us are in the category where we're a tiny bit chunkier in weight than what we would like to be, because of this reason. We'll eat crappy food that makes us feel good whilst we're eating it, not afterwards. It's not good for us. It's easy. Like takeaways. If you'd have told me when I was a teenager that I would get to the point where I was absolutely sick and tired of takeaways, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have thought I could live off them forever. But once you've spent years living off takeaways because you can't cook, it's not a good feeling. Or I think there are many of us that live off brought sandwiches, like packed lunches. I spent years living on packed lunches. I needed help. Eventually I got it, but it's hard to ask for help, isn't it? Really hard. So that prompting, again, isn't that simple, whether you're living alone or not, if you have prompting or not. And if I say to a lot of people when I'm going through this, because I know if someone's suffering from fatigue that they're getting prompted, but the way I word it is, say for example they're in a relationship, they're living together, and I'll be like, does your partner nag you a lot about food? And they'll be like, oh, all the time. We have arguments about it. Yeah, because you suffer from chronic fatigue, and for able-bodied people, they want you to eat properly, but because fatigue is an invisible illness, they can't see that actually you sat there, you're struggling to just sit there. So this is a really important one. So moving on to E, which is worth 4 points, needs supervision or assistance to either prepare or cook a simple meal. I think Like basically supervision or assistance speaks for itself, doesn't it? So if you literally have someone that's with you when you're cooking the meal, because so many of you are going to relate to this, right? How many times have you forgotten that you're cooking? How many times have you burnt stuff? Have you started a fire? How many times have you cooked something and then forgotten about it? Or started and then had to give up because you've run out of energy or the pain's too high? How many times have you managed to cook something and then you've dropped it? Or you've burnt yourself? Like, so many times. I think, you know what's really dangerous? That it took me many little, you know when you get the little burns, it took me many little burns before I was like, I cannot use a cooker. You know where you're going into the oven and you've got the racks and you're like, and you can see what you're aiming for and you're aiming for it, and then you hit a rack. The amount of times that I tried to cook a pizza, it's not difficult. Pizza in the oven on, don't forget about it. I've forgot about it many times. But then if I managed to get it out without burning myself, brilliant. But the amount of times I'd then go to walk with it and it would just slip off onto the floor. I nearly had it land on a cat one time. I was so, does that happen to you? Do you need help? It's points. It's points. This is the only time where I'm going to be saying things like, that's great, because it's points. I do that a lot when I work with people, where I'm like, I'm so happy for you, that's points. I'm really not happy that you're suffering, but I'm really happy because you get points. Cannot prepare and cook food. Now, this one, PIP don't like giving this. They do not like giving this. PIP absolutely do not like agreeing that you can't prepare food. And especially because so many of us have invisible illnesses where we look all right. Like, I don't look sick. When people see me, unless I'm using my Zimmer frame, I just don't look sick. And I understand that it's both a blessing and a curse. It means we don't get discriminated against as would someone, just for example, someone with severe cerebral palsy will get discriminated by a number of people just because of how they look. With invisible illness, people aren't taking a second glance at you. But when you need help, you're not getting it because you don't look sick. So it is a blessing and a curse. So with the not preparing meals, they really don't like to say it. But if you have someone that is preparing your meals 99 times out of 100, stand your ground and say, I do not prepare meals. I am not safe. Whatever the reason is, link it back. If you go on to the other guides that I've got, you can see live examples that I've done for people and won their claims. You definitely need to watch not just this. Yeah, you have to stand your ground, which is why the point system is so important. So when I'm helping someone with PIP, I'm constantly going back to this. When I'm preparing people for assessments, I make notes on this piece of paper, and we practice with my notes against this, where I will say to someone, so when you're preparing food, can you tell me how you do that? And as human beings, we don't like to admit weakness. Of course we don't. It's shit having to admit weakness. So it's not good if you say, sometimes I can't prepare food. Because all PIP will hear is, sometimes I can prepare food. Done. 0 points. You have to be very, very careful in your wording. And the way that I advise people to do that, and that works, is by saying, for example, on average, 3 days a week, I need prompting to prepare a meal, or I simply would not eat. I might have a packet of biscuits, but I would not have a healthy meal. When I do cook, I have to use a perch chair because my fatigue is so bad. I can't stand and cook. On the 3 days a week that I do a meal, I can use a microwave. On the 3 days that I can cook, I will heat food in the microwave. Try and be careful that you don't just say what this says. You have to paint a picture. They have to be able to understand for you what your unique situation is, because although we're in the same situation with pain and fatigue, we all manage it slightly differently. We all have slightly different layouts at home. We all have a slightly different approach to how we do things. You've got to paint the picture so they understand that what you're saying is true. You have to provide details that is unique to you. Okay, right, moving on to taking nutrition. So if you can eat, with no problem, no points obviously. If you use an aid, supervision, or someone cuts up food for you, 2 points. Another important bit, I'm going to go full face when it's important, okay? When you're eating, have you started eating certain food that is easier for you? For example, do you generally have food that you can pick up and eat? Pizzas, toasties, sandwiches? Or are you having foods that are... I'm thinking about this as I go, right? Because this is how I ask people when I'm helping them. Are you eating food that you can scoop? Have you stopped using a knife and fork? Like, are you just using a fork or just a spoon? So for example, I've got arthritis in my jaw joints. So I absolutely avoid eating food that need a knife and fork. A jacket potato is too much for me to chew. I can, most of the time I could chew it, but then the pain increase is really severe. And, you know, all that headache and, oh, no. And it takes a lot of energy to do that level of chewing. So I prefer foods like paella, which actually I don't have to chew at all because it's rice. I could just swallow it if I needed to. Toasties, when my jaw joints are good, because I can just pick it up. Rice Krispies and banana. Going through a phase of that at the moment. Pasta. Oh! There's this lady that helps me with food. She's an amazing cook. She does this pulled pork, and it's like, if you ever had a hog roast. It's making my mouth water just talking about it. She does this pulled pork that is as good as any hog roast you've ever been to. So she'll do me a load of that, and I will commit myself and work very hard to eat the lot over a space of how much I've got. Longest it took me was 5 days to get through everything. Breakfast, lunch and dinner was this pulled pork. It was really lush. No cutlery. Really easy on the jaw joints. Slow cooked chicken and mushroom in a white wine sauce. Yeah. And, right, so if you have any form of arthritis or you're suffering from fatigue, I recommend getting some of this. I do not recommend you pay 30 quid for what I call dying people's cutlery. If you have this, I don't mean any offence by that, and I'm really sorry if that upsets anyone. I like... This is the one. This is the one. This is my favourite. Okay? Now, you know what I said about dying people cutlery? Someone once said to me, oh, your baby cutlery. I was mortified. Mortified. It's not baby cutlery. It's my happy cutlery. The caterpillar, it makes me smile. It makes me smile. And these, for hand grip, is stunning. Getting these made my life so much easier. I guarantee you, if you have issues with your hands or fatigue, try getting yourself some chunkier cutlery. Whatever suits you, whatever you feel comfortable with. Oh, giraffe. I do think this knobbly stuff is good because it does fit well to the hand. So try something, but I wouldn't spend 30 quid on it because it makes a difference. It genuinely makes a difference. Anything we can do to adapt, to make to improve our quality of life, let's do it. So using an aid, 2 points, which the chunky cutlery, and that's how I word it in PIP forms for people, just chunky cutlery and they know what you mean. Supervision to be able to take nutrition, assistance to be able to have food cut up, right. So obviously it's the same thing. So if you're using chunky cutlery and you need your food to be cut up, I'd still state it, okay, even though it's 2 points flat. PIP are obsessed with chicken. So obviously steak needs to be cut up, but I think, let's face it, most of us aren't eating steak every day. So the way they assess you cutting up food is, do you need assistance with chicken being cut up? If the answer is yes, then you get the points. And for me, when I did my own assessment and she said about chicken, I was like, but I don't eat it. She's like, why? I said, because you have to chop it up. Like, I haven't got the energy for it. And she's like, but if you were to eat it, I was like, I'd have to ask my mum to chop it up. No, I don't want to ask her to chop it up. And there's been a few times where scrambled egg on toast. If you put the scrambled egg on the toast and let it sit for a bit, it softens the toast. And there are times where but you need a knife and fork. So there are times where I don't have the energy to do that, but I don't want to have to ask my mum. So I have, when she's gone, why don't you want it? And I'm like, I don't have the energy to cut it up, so she'll cut it up for me. But she doesn't soak the bread. So then it requires more chewing, which I haven't got the energy for. I would eat something that I don't have to ask for assistance with. But realistically, for me to have those, I need it chopped up. You need to really think about your situation, and I guarantee you, if you're in pain and struggling with fatigue, you've already adapted, and because it's your normal daily life now, you probably wouldn't even mention this during the assessment because you're eating. So you think, well, I'm eating, so that's it. It's not it. Needs a therapeutic source to be able to take nutrition. I think that means a tube. I've never used that one. I haven't had to use that yet. Needs prompting to be able to take nutrition. How many of you sometimes have to stop eating? Now, I do say don't say sometimes in your PIP, even though I am saying that to you, like chatting informally to you. How many of you get it where you're too tired to eat, or your breathing is challenged and you're too puffed, so you've got to stop, and then you'll come back to the food later, if at all, because if you're struggling, then sometimes it's not great coming back to it later. That's needing prompting, because when we're too tired, we need someone prompting and making it easier for us to then be able to eat. And again, the way you would word that is, on average, however many, obviously you've got to say this for your life, not the examples I'm giving you. On average, 3 days a week, I have to be prompted to finish my meals because my COPD gets so severe I can't breathe and eat at the same time, so I have to stop eating my meal and focus on my breathing until it settles down. That would be my example of that one. So that therapeutic source, I think, is basically like a tube that they would have to have someone assist them with that. And that's 6 points. And then cannot convey food and drink to the mouth. So obviously that would be someone that's totally bedridden that is being fed, is 10 points. Right, I want to talk to you about toileting. Do not jump forward this section. I know I say that for every section, but please don't jump forward this section. I'm going to put in a bit of detail about cleaning yourself after you've been to the toilet, and the challenges that is from, and this is a part of the gut PIP claim form guide. So I'll put that in. Then I need to talk to you about a very exciting subject, diarrhea. I changed my mind. I'm editing right now. I'm not putting in the footage about trying to clean yourself when you've got fatigue and pain. I'm going to put a link above so that you can click and watch another video on it for that detail, because at the moment we're still at, like, I know I'm editing, so hoping this is shorter by the time you watch it, but I've still got 2.5 hours of footage. It's a bit too long. I know I've broken it down, but it's too long, so I'll put a link, you can watch that, and let's get back to the diarrhea conversation. Yay! Oh, Charlie, I know, I'm so interesting. This is such an amazing channel. We talk, I'm like, is anyone listening? I tell you, you are. Yeah, we need to talk about diarrhea. For all you IBS warriors, for any of you that get diarrhea because of your meds, do you ever get it where you suddenly have to go to the toilet for a bowel movement and you don't make it in time? If yes, you need to put that into your PIP claim. Do you ever get it where you could be sat on the toilet for half an hour to an hour with diarrhea, or even constipation? That's exhausting. But constipation is absolutely diet-based. If you are struggling that much on the toilet, that you're there for more than a couple of minutes, more fruit, loads more fruit. Get those yellow honeydew melons and start eating them. Even if you're taking meds that make you constipated, dried apricots, amazing, and they're really sweet. I like sweet stuff. The constipation, even if it's med related, you can do something about it, but I would still, so I wouldn't use the constipation because it's self-inflicted. Even if it's med related, constipation is self-inflicted, and if you keep being constipated, you're going to get hemorrhoids. That's a whole different conversation, which we will talk about at some point. I'm so sorry, I'm editing, and apparently when I started talking about hemorrhoids, I got totally distracted and didn't finish talking about toileting. We were on diarrhea, the exciting subject. Let me show you the points. Now, just before we get back to the riveting diarrhea, let's cover off AIDS. If you are using a bath, a sink, a radiator, something to get yourself off the toilet, that counts as an aid. Okay, which is 2 points. This appliance, there seems to be the appliance, that could be a raised toilet seat. For those of you that are struggling with that, when you get your PIP, you can get occupational health and you can get things for free. I got a raised toilet seat and it messed with my head. I just visually looking at it just made me feel like such a failure. I couldn't have it. But when I went to a nursing home and I went to the toilet in Uncle Eddie's bathroom, he had this elegant, you know, who would describe a toilet seat as elegant? It's an elegant raised toilet seat. It was about that high and it was like, it was tilted. And it was so comfortable and it was so easy to stand up afterwards. It was amazing. So have a look at things like that would definitely help and again improve your quality of life. So if you are using a radiator or something else to get out, make sure you state that, and then in the bit below on the form that says is there anything that would help, put a raised toilet seat, or you know, you can get the like arms to go beside the toilet so you can actually use the arms to stand up. Needs supervision or prompting to be able to manage toileting needs. Obviously, I think that's clear that someone's having to remind you to go to the toilet. And I think for those of us with severe fatigue, it's sometimes we hang on too long and have an accident. Right, we're getting to the diarrhea bit. Okay, so we're coming on to assistance, right? So it's split into different categories. So you get just plain assistance, 4 points. You get assistance for incontinence of either bladder or bowel, and then 8 points if it's incontinence of both. So when I was talking about the diarrhea, that if it suddenly comes on and you don't get any warning, if you're wearing pads or not, it can, obviously it's diarrhea, it's messy. Then you've got to change your clothes, then you've like, where do your clothes go? You're sitting on the toilet. Lo and behold, if you've got nausea and vomiting whilst you've got diarrhea, whole new category. So if this happens where you have an accident, you need to put in the form, you have to state it. Don't forget the points are broken down by bladder and bowel, okay? You get more points if it's bowel. So again, this is one of those times where when people get embarrassed to tell me and they finally get the words out that it's bowel movements, I'm like, that's great, well done for telling me, well done, points. You could say, this is how you could word it, for example, I experience incontinence with my bowel on average once a week, whatever it is. And a lot of people that I talk to, it seems to be sort of med related, or it just hits them like every couple of weeks. So like I've said before, if someone says that to me, I'll take it over the month. I'll say, so if they say, Charlie, it happens every 2 weeks, I'll be like, right, how many times does it happen? Because generally when you get diarrhea, it's not just once. Like, so in that day, how many times will you end up on the toilet or the incontinence? And they'll explain that. How many days would that happen in that 2 weeks? And then I'll work out the month to get an average for weekly. Again, we need to hand it on a plate PIP. If you can hear purring, boss is loving the... Oh, say hi everyone. I love the microphone. Loves the microphone. So we've talked about, incontinence. It's same for the bladder as well. If the bladder, if that's happening, again, you need to put on average how many times a day. If you're having an accident and it's not just the pad, or you weren't even wearing a pad because obviously you weren't planning it, and then someone has to help you because then you need a bath or you're trying to clean up, you need to put that in. So someone assisting you, okay? Really important one here. If you are being completely practical, and I'm always gutted when people talk to me about this and they're embarrassed. And I'm really blunt with people, and I'll explain. So when people explain to me that they have one of their children's potties that they have to use, or a bottle, or a bucket, or some sort of something to pee in, and they're sort of mortified that they're having to explain this. And I get it, because none of us want to have to do that. But from my point of view, as a logistician, my job was to solve problems. Yes, I was a transport specialist, but when you work in logistics, you're a problem solver. I think you're being practical. I think you are being practical. I'm about to move, boss, leave the microphone alone. I'm about to move into a posh shed because I can't afford to stay in my home. That posh shed is the size of 2 medium-sized double bedrooms, because I need to be as condensed as possible because of my fatigue, and I want to be independent. If your toilet is upstairs and you haven't got the energy to get there, and you're trying to avoid incontinence, so you've got a bucket that you pee in during the night or day, whenever it is, you're being practical. You are being a warrior. You are adapting to your situation. Priority, I want to get you out of wherever you're living, and we need to get you into bungalows and things like that. But you're adapting to your life. You're doing what you can to manage the situation. You shouldn't be embarrassed about that. You should be proud that you are remain as independent as possible. I know it's not graceful and none of us want to do it, but we also don't want to give up. Hence why you're doing it. And the other thing is the bedwetting. If you're having accidents in bed, you need to write it. And remember, this I know it's shit, I know it's embarrassing, but this funding will make a huge difference to your life. A huge difference. So again, if you are struggling with incontinence for whatever reason, and you're having to do the extreme measures, like you've got a bucket and things like that, because without it you would be incontinent, this is brilliant. It's the only time I'm ever going to say it to you, probably the only time in your life that someone's going to say something positive about incontinence. This is brilliant. This is points. It's something they can't debate with you. This is helping you get your PIP. This is helping you get funding so that you can afford to live, because it's expensive being chronically ill. Managing therapy. This one really bothers me. Obviously the whole PIP process does bother me because there isn't training on it, which obviously I'm trying to provide. This managing therapy, most people do not put any detail in at all about this, and obviously PIP won't ask you the questions, the assessors won't ask you the questions in the manner that I would, because they don't want to prompt you to then it costs the government more money. So managing therapy is the time it takes for someone to assist you. It's easier to get the points when it comes to your meds. Think about it this way. Do you have someone that prompts you on your meds? I use an easy example, all right? And then you can adjust this to your situation. This is an example for someone that's in a relationship. So you're in bed, you're not well, and your partner says to you, come on, you've got to take your meds. But you can't physically move yet because of your fatigue. You're in so much pain, you've had a bad night. So they go away, then they come back. Come on, it's time to take your meds. Can you sit up? Oh, not yet. Like, you try. Okay, I'll get you a drink. Then they come back again. Bring the drink. Come on, it's time for you to take your meds. And you're sat up now, right? You're sat up and you're like, right, okay. But you just can't take them yet. You just can't take them yet. You've got to give yourself a bit of time to come round. You've got to give a bit of time for the pain to reduce. Then they come in and they nag a bit. Come on, take your meds. You'll feel better once you're taking your meds, because hopefully there's some pain relief in there if you are in pain. Eventually you take your meds. You've got to average that time out. So that's like, that example is like for AM. But if you have an afternoon nap, and sorry, Matilda's just started shivering. Oh, it's okay, we'll move soon. Ollie's fine because she's running back and forth with the ball. Matilda just sits with me and gets cold, but oh God, we're wrapped around a tree. Are we wrapped around the tree? Yeah, we're wrapped around the tree. We're actually literally tied to the tree at the moment. But Matilda just stays with me, so she ends up getting cold. She's got 3 coats on. I have more layers on. So you need to consider that, and then think about it for AM and PM meds, or AM lunchtime and PM meds. Then you've got to average that time out. Also, the therapy is like physio. Do you know what? PIP use this as such a grey area. It's hard to get the points. The only time I've been able to get the points is when someone has someone in their home that is prompting them to take the meds on a regular occasion, whether it's a mum, a partner, a daughter, whatever it is, whoever it is, not whatever it is, sorry. That's where you get the points, and obviously it depends on how long it takes. So yeah, have a look at the scoring system, have a real good think about it, and monitor yourself. See what the reality is. Don't just do the good days, and do not write down say don't write down from 10 to 20 minutes a day, because PIP will just go 10 minutes a day. Okay, so if you use 10 to 20 minutes, put average 15 minutes. Okay. When I help people with PIP, this tends to be one where people don't realise, well, I don't know why I'm saying that, because it's the same with every single section. There's things that you do, if you're suffering from chronic illness and you're in pain at whatever point and struggle with fatigue, I guarantee you score points, but you're probably not recording it in the manner that PIP need, which is why we're chatting. So I'm going to show you the points. Obviously, if you can, brilliant, no points. Now, you see here where it says, do you use an aid or an appliance to be able to wash and dress? If, when you're getting out of the bath or into the shower, you're holding on to something, it doesn't need to be a posh handle. It's if you're holding on to anything to get yourself in or out, that's an aid. That's you using something. And you need to clarify that you could, if you're doing that. Have you joined us for the meeting? Yeah. We're talking about PIP again. Yeah, we are. It's really important. Yes, it is. Yes, right. So if you're doing that, if you're using something to help you get in and out of the bath or the shower, you're using an aid. My mind has gone blank, but you know what I mean. I've just been walking a bit, Ollie, and I think potentially my trainee assistant's dog is telling me that I need to stop. Do I need to stop for a bit? Let me have a think. Do I need to stop? I think I probably need to stop. I really want to get this recorded, but yeah, sweetheart, I think you're right. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording. I will be back soon. Okay, I've had a rest, taken more pain meds, gonna give it another go. I think it's taken, I think I'm halfway through this and it's taken me about 4 or 5 different recording days. I think because PIP's such a head fuck, isn't it? Like, when I'm explaining it, it's just tiring, you know, going through, trying to think of everything, trying to get as much information across as possible. But it's an honour to be able to do this. It's an honour to be able to work with people. Right, so that's the aids. So I expect everyone that is suffering from a chronic illness that results in varying levels of pain 24/7 and fatigue, everyone should be using some sort of aid. You are, even if you don't realise it, and I'm hoping you realise it now. Prompting, if you've gone all the way through with me and you're on to 4, prompting's a lot in PIP. Okay, let's get honest. Let's get real with each other. Right. We live in a first world country. Look, if my terminology is not right, sorry, but you get what I mean. We live in a first world country. In our country and our culture, it is normal for us to shower or bathe daily. Sometimes twice a day if you're fit enough and you're going to the gym, things like that. Or that's your routine. So when we become chronically ill, or this is definitely my experience and through talking to everyone. No, not everyone. Let's say 80% of the people I've worked with, there's this guilt, there's this embarrassment that we're not bathing or showering daily. And I'm frustrated about it because my friends in Africa are certainly not bathing and showering every day. Because water is like gold in some places. You don't waste it like what we do in the UK. So I actually managed to have a bath quite recently, but normally I don't. Normally I wash my hair at the kitchen sink. I wash with a flannel at the sink, armpits and groin. That's it. Obviously I wash my hands after I've been to the toilet so my hands clean. My feet, like when Pip questioned me about my feet, I was like, what do you think's happening with my feet? And they were like, well, how do you clean your feet? And I'm like, well, I don't. They're in bed socks. They're in bed socks or they're in socks, you know, so I was like, I don't understand what you think is happening to my feet. every now and again, my mum will get the bucket, I'll put my feet in it, soak them. But it's hard to do feet. They're far away. It is difficult when they question you and like, how do you clean your back? And I'm like, I don't. I'm not having someone come and wash my back for me. And again, I was like, it's not like I'm rolling around in a mud pit. What do you think's happening to my back? I'm cleaning my key areas. I do not smell. I am maintaining my personal hygiene. And my friends in Bangladesh and multiple countries in Africa, they're not sweating it. Like Ruth, her family, whole family, they get a bucket of water with this much water in it, and the whole family has to wash from that one bucket because water is scarce. So my request, and I do feel very passionate about this because the guilt I felt for over a decade about my personal hygiene, and once I sort of reminded myself of, hang on a minute, my friends in Africa, oh, we're privileged, we're in the UK, oh, it's our culture, hang on a minute, like, the majority of the world isn't showering and bathing daily. They're not. So we don't have to feel guilty about this. We do not smell. We are maintaining our personal hygiene. That's what's important. And having a bath and a shower is high risk and absolutely exhausting. So don't worry if you're not having them. Just be blunt in PIP. Just be blunt. So I've got the points in front of me as well, so that's what I'm looking down. Right, hopped on about that now. I feel very passionate about it. So this prompting, I find, well, I tend to say to people, if they're living with someone else, and say like, is your partner nagging you? Does your partner nag you? Oh, and they're like, yeah. For me, my mum and I are currently living together, and she was my carer for over a year. My mum nags me constantly about bath, because in her head, you bath every day. And because I don't look sick, even though she's my mum and she knows that I'm chronically ill, but I don't look it, so she nags me about a bath. Do you need to have a bath? You need to have a bath. When did you last have a bath? Don't you need to have a bath? Do you think you should have a bath? And I'm like, do I smell? Well, no, but you haven't had one for a long time. No, you're right, I haven't. Because she doesn't understand fatigue, chronic fatigue. She doesn't understand why having a bath exhausts me. When I was bedridden, she'd nag and nag and nag and nag. And eventually I'd just give in just to shut her up. I'd get in the bath and she's like, you feel better? No, I didn't feel better. I felt a million times worse because I was even more exhausted because I'd gone through all the trauma of having a bath. I didn't feel good. Like, I nearly fell over like 4 times, absolutely exhausted, and then I'm extra sick for days afterwards. No, I didn't feel better. But when you're able-bodied and you have a bath, you feel lovely and clean and refreshed. And don't get me wrong, it's nice having a bath. Not when I'm in survival mode. And now I just refuse. Nope, because I've built my confidence. But if you've got a family member that is prompting you, I've got 2 points here, right? If they're prompting you, nagging you, like suggesting it, make sure you record it in your PIP claim, or mandatory reconsideration, or tribunal, whatever part of PIP stage you're at, you've got to record it. But I don't want you to be worn down by those people. Do not be pressurised to have a bath or a shower when you are not ready, because the aftermath isn't worth it. We can maintain our personal hygiene without having a shower and a bath. And I feel like, comment below if it's not just me that's been guilted into it and then you get extra sick because you feel worn down that you've got to conform to society. Right, because I firmly believe we don't have to. Right, so needs assistance to be able to wash either the hair or body below the waist. So this hair is a big one. A lot of people I work with, I don't know if you can hear my mum's dog, there's a treat and she's having the time of her life. So hair, so for example, you struggle with your hair, like struggle to brush it, struggle to wash it, you just need to simply say, for example, this is your example, my partner washes my hair for me because of my right shoulder, and then whatever condition it is that impacts that right shoulder. That's it. Keep it that simple. Right, keep it that simple. Or body below the waist. I think most of us are in the same situation as me, that if I can't get to my feet, I'm not getting someone in to wash my feet. I'm just not. So I think we're all in a situation where if we are able to get in the shower or the bath, we just let the water go over it, and if we can wash them, then brilliant. If not, we're not that worried about it. But you can clarify that, obviously. So needs assistance to get in and out of the bath or shower, again, really important. So for example, I think when I talk to a lot of people, it's our prominent, like I'm right-handed, so it's my right side that's more affected by the arthritis, psoriatic arthritis. And when I'm talking to people, there tends to be a side that's worse, right? So always be clear on which side is worse. So some people it's getting my right leg in the bath. Okay. Oh, it's my left leg in the bath. Okay. So it has to be lifted in. Okay. Just put that down. So, for example, it would be when I get into the bath, my friend lifts my right leg into the bath for me. In and out of the bath. In and out. Don't forget, getting out. So needs assistance to be able to wash their body between the shoulders and waist. Obviously that's pretty clear. This one is for pretty much cannot wash and bathe at all, is for people that are terminally ill. This is for people that are bedridden, that need bed baths, or to be assisted with standing, getting into the bath, and are dependent on carers. I hope that you're looking at this and you're thinking, hang on a minute, Charlie, I have to hold on to a handle to get in and out of the bath. I get nagged by my partner. I can't wash my hair. And then sometimes I get stuck in the bath. Right. So for example, sometimes you get stuck in the bath, you either run out of energy or whatever your condition is, you need to put in there, for example, once a week, I will get stuck in the bath. So and so will have to help me get out, or else get stuck in the shower. And for the stuck bit, so it could be due to chronic fatigue. I have to wait until I've got the energy to move. It could be due to pain. My pain is so severe I cannot move. Whatever the reason is, put it in there and try and give an example of how often that happens. And I try and do weekly. So my point was, before I got distracted by that example, I use a handle, I get nagged, I can't wash my hair, I get stuck in the bath, so that's 2, 4, 6, 9 points. Just on washing and bathing. PIP aren't going to give you 9 points. They won't, because it's PIP. So I do find a lot of time there, especially when I'm helping people with review forms. I've got a link below to my consultancy stuff, but before you even look at that, I'm trying to put everything I can on YouTube for free, right? We don't have enough money to pay for help with PIP. I am available, but I would much rather you try and do it for free, okay? What seems to be the most popular is when people are doing reviews, and people don't understand that how many points they're entitled to. So when I'm sort of going through them, or I've just been worn down by this lovely codename, the politician, who wore me down, right? So we're going to do the full PIP together, and he's been given 0 points before, appealed 0 points, or pretty much 0 points, like whatever it wasn't worth it. So when I was talking to him and going through it, in the first 2 questions, he had 16 points. And it blew his mind. And I'm like, but they're not going to give you that. They'll probably give you 4. That's just what PIP do. That's what PIP do. Even when we went to tribunal, and it should have been like, Wendy should be on like 50 plus points. She got 12. They never give the right points. And I know I go on and on and on about this, but they never give the right points. And when I'm working with the politician, his code name should be future politician. I have to explain that even though on your score, and I don't bother adding it up when I work with people because I'm like, you're well over, you are going to get enhanced. But I have to say to them, if they're starting the claim, they're never going to give you the right points. They're going to give you just under, they'll probably give you 10 or 11. You have to do the mandatory appeal, but it's easy. It's so easy. Compared to the going through the PIP 44-page form, the claim form, then the assessment, doing a mandatory reconsideration, their posh naming for an appeal. So easy. So don't give up. Don't give up. They're never going to give you the right points. You have to give yourself that inner conversation, or just just listen to me, okay? Again, on YouTube, you're not supposed to tell people what to do, but I'm going to, right? If you're going through this point scoring system going, yeah, Charlie, that's me. Yeah, I get 8 points here, I get 4 points here, I get 3 points there, I get another 6 points here, that's me. You're entitled to this. Do not give up. Just because the PIP process sucks, you are entitled to this funding. The government they want us to be as independent as possible for as long as possible because it saves them money. It's just the process. So just accept they're not going to give you the right points and you have to appeal. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. But please don't give up and don't listen to all this bullshit chat on these really depressing chat groups with the fear mongering. The people that, like, I guarantee you, all the people that I've helped and we've won, and this future politician, we will win. There is no question in my mind, we're going to win. He is going to win because it's the truth and he's entitled to it. It's very simple. I'll help him communicate it in the right way. I'll mentor him for the assessment. I will be on the assessment with him and he'll win. But we're going to have to appeal it. Even with me, with my skill base, we are going to have to appeal it because it's PIP. It's just how it works. Yeah, even with my skill base, it doesn't matter how clear you communicate it or I communicate it and it's perfect. They're still not going to give us the right points because that's how it works. I'm sat here and I'm like, why am I going on about this? Like, why am I really harping on about this? Oh. And I think it's because with the washing and dressing, practically everyone gets points in this area. And a high number of us avoid getting in the bath and shower because of how much energy it takes and it's high risk and there's so many tasks to do. But people give up and I don't want you to give up. I do not want you to give up. You're entitled to this. Keep fighting. I really hope I haven't been nagging you to keep fighting in every single section of the points. I'm sorry if I have. But to be honest, I might leave it in case people just come and look at like washing and dressing or just come and look at toilet. I might have to leave the you can do this bit in. Okay, so this is another interesting one where if you suffer from pain and fatigue, I know I do tend to talk about that a lot because it's really simple for me. If someone's in varying levels of pain 24/7, it means they suffer from chronic fatigue. I'm sorry if you can hear Matilda growling. She's got a really nice chew. And Ollie's like circling like a shark. I know that if you're in pain and you suffer from fatigue, you've changed the way you wear clothes from what you used to wear able-bodied to what you wear living with chronic illness. For example, do you wear oversized clothes? So are you wearing clothes that are size or 2 sizes or more bigger than what you could wear and would have worn pre-chronic illness because it's easier to get them on? Instead of wearing a hoodie, do you wear one with a zip but you don't do it up because it's easier to get on? Did you used to wear clothes with laces or zips or buttons and now pretty much nothing you've got has got zips and buttons on and your shoes are slip on? The whole point of PIP is it shouldn't matter about a chronic illness. We should be able to carry on the way we were before chronic illness. So if, like, I used to wear a blouse to work, there is no way I would wear a blouse because of my hands, because of buttons. No way. I had one top that I still have that I love that's got 2 buttons at the back that I would literally put on and get to work and then ask the guys to do the buttons up at the back, but they'd have to remember to undo them before I left because I did that once and had to sleep in it and then go back to work the next day and get someone to undo the buttons because I couldn't get out of it. If I was to wear the clothes that I was wearing pre-chronic illness, first of all I wouldn't be I'd have to have someone yanking on a pair of jeggings to get them up my legs. That's not graceful. Someone doing the buttons up for me. And look, we're not going to do it because we're proud. I'm going to buy clothes that are oversized. I'm wearing, Shein has really good leggings with pockets that are really cheap, $6.99. They're so easy to get on. It's a step up. They're not pyjama bottoms, but I can and have and will again sleep in them because they're comfy. You know that strategy of You're not in your pyjamas, but it works if you need to sleep in it. So if you can't get dressed or undressed, it's all right, that strategy. So let's go to the points. Yeah, so all that bit is to get you to think about it a bit differently, okay? A lot of people, when I start working with them, they say, I can get dressed, because they get dressed. And genuinely, people sort of discount the pyjama days. You know, if you have a number of days a week where you don't get dressed, where you stay in your pyjamas, you must put that in your PIP form. You must write it down. Ooh. Put it in your PIP form. Like 3 days a week, I stay in my pyjamas, because it could be I'm in too much pain, or my fatigue is too bad, I don't have the energy, or it could be I don't want to have to ask my partner to assist me putting on the bottoms, so I'll just stay in my pyjamas. And I'm not leaving the house anyway because I'm too sick to go out. You know, make sure you put it in. Really have a think about this one. Now, this using an aid, wait a minute. Here we go. Images. So this is the one that I recommend. So it's literally that hook there is for the zips, that bit's the buttons. Now, do I recommend you mess around using this? No, I don't. I don't recommend you mess around using this because it's a pain in the arse, right? See what I mean? There you go, right? But it's an option. It's an option if you really want to be wearing your zips and buttons. Personally, I just don't wear clothes with zips and buttons. But if I did, I would use this, or I would get someone to assist me. So that's a really handy one. If you're doing a mandatory reconsideration or a tribunal, put this image in there. You know, I've done that in the guides, but just make sure you put images in so it helps the people assessing it understand that this is what you're doing, yeah? I would use that aid if that's what I was doing. That sock thing, I haven't had a go at that. And I probably should, because socks is a bit of a nightmare, isn't it? Okay, so we've covered the aid. Right, about prompting. This is the thing, isn't it? Do you get nagged to get dressed by people? Or is it a case of you have to get dressed certain days of the week because you have to go for treatment? But if you weren't going for treatment, you wouldn't be going. You have to get dressed because you're going to the doctors. And do me a favour, if any of you book me on that consultancy thing, please don't get dressed wearing different clothes to normal. This is, don't forget, in PIP they assess that. So when you're on your assessment, do not dress in a manner you wouldn't normally, because if you're wearing a button down top, they're going to be like, done, they can do that, they're fine with that, and you're going to lose loads of points. Don't dress differently to how you are normally. Someone said, well, normally I just sit naked. Yeah, don't be naked, wear something, right? But just be practical, be comfortable, wear the clothes you would normally wear. And that goes for if you're doing a meeting with me. I don't care if you're in your pyjamas. And to be honest, I have done meetings with people where I've just gone, look, sorry, I haven't got the energy to get dressed today. I hope you don't mind. And you know what? People don't care if I haven't got the energy to get dressed. We understand each other. People are so understanding that I haven't had the energy to get dressed. So, you know, I obviously understand it. So if you do meet me, please don't dress posh. This one is, again, really important one on lower body. If you're struggling with putting your socks on, putting your trousers on, or your leggings or whatever, just be honest about it. Be honest about it. And if you're battling and huffing and puffing and it's taking you like 15 minutes with rest breaks in, the reality is, with assistance, your life would be easier. I'm not saying you have to have assistance, but you should be getting assistance. Sucks, doesn't it? Like, the amount of times that I've had to stay in what I'm wearing or not get dressed because lower body's difficult. And my knees and hips are doing pretty good at the moment. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Let's take some more pain meds. Do you ever get there where you just start to sort of lose yourself and then you're like, don't forget, I do suggest sticking this on. Someone got this for me because I love the Scottish cows. But I'm living in a tiny house, so I'm going to move into a tiny house, so I can't have much things. Oh, it really hurts my... Oh, it's not doing very... Where's... Oh, right. Okay. So I'm going to have... one tramadol, 2 paracetamol, because they're sister drugs, which means they complement each other and they enhance each other, so it's really good. mixed with the sugar hit, which is really bad for us. Worse than, I think the sugar is worse for me than the opioids. That combination, tramadol, paracetamol, sister drugs will work great together. Sugar. You see how chatty I get soon. Because I want to get this finished. Okay. Let's try and keep me on track. Okay, we've covered lower body socks. Upper body. By the way, lower body, I seem to meet quite a few people with fibro where your legs aren't cooperating as well as they should. So, if you know, that definitely seems to be one. Needs assistance to be able to dress or undress their upper body. This is, if you have even just one arm, I think there's quite a few of us that have a dodgy shoulder or grumpy shoulders. So for example, you're like, but Charlie, it's not all the time. Okay, just clarify, but do the average, and I do find it better to do the weekly average. So if you need assistance with dressing your upper body, when you have a flare up, and that happens like, you know, once a month, but for that week, every day you have to have assistance with your upper body, I'd average that to like 2 days a week. On average, 2 days a week I need assistance with dressing my upper body due to shoulder issues because of, like, I'd put it that way. Obviously they cannot get dressed and undressed at all is for people fully paralysed or terminally ill. Communication, we're on to communication, and these next few bits, what I'm going to say is going to suck. Like, it's going to suck. I'm just being honest with you. I am not going to bullshit you. I'm going to be honest, and whether you agree with me or not, you've got to remember that this is your PIP claim, so please don't do anything you're not comfortable with. Even people that I'm helping with, whether it's through the consultancy or whether it's for free, it's your claim, right? So you've got to be comfortable with it. But this bit is probably going to irritate you, but I'm right, and I'm really sorry because it sucks. If you can answer your name, and like if they say to you, all right, what's your name? Where'd you travel from today? That's it. 0 points. 0 points. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much brain fog you get. It doesn't matter. Obviously, hearing aid, you get 2 points. But I don't even think that, you know, it's just hard to get. This is hard to get. If you're watching this, you are not going to get any points on this. You're not. Because if you're watching this, you're not going to get the points. And the fact that you are watching this, everyone I have helped, not a single person has scored in this because they can talk. It's that simple. It sucks. I'm sorry. If you are watching this and you are able to, with basic handwriting, and I mean basic, with spelling errors, 0 points. Yep, 0 points. So if you do suffer from dyslexia, any other condition that means that you struggle with reading and writing, whatever you do, make sure it is documented at your GP. And you need to be really clear about needs to use an aid or an appliance. So an aid in this would be if your dyslexia means that you can't read the black and white text, you would use an aid to convert it. An aid is also the big magnifying glass, yeah? Normal glasses or contact lenses don't count, but big magnifying glass counts. Needs prompting to be able to read it. Right, I've tried to get these points before for people that when they get the form, they'll just put it to one side and they won't touch it. They will not touch it unless they get someone to prompt them and sit with them and help them. Never got the points. Never got the points. Again, if you can answer your name and chit chat, basically, you're not going to get the points, which I don't agree with, but that's how it is. If we suffer from incontinence, we don't want to engage face to face with other people. If you've got IBS, you don't really want to engage face to face with people because you don't know when your IBS is going to kick in. If you're in pain, varying levels of pain constantly, you don't really want to socialise with people because, you know, of pain. Fatigue, the same. You literally don't have the energy, and it takes a lot of energy. And someone else came up with a really good example, so I don't know if this is relevant for you, but because of her mobility challenges, she would get anxious that she couldn't get away from people. So if there was any unrest, she couldn't get away because she couldn't move fast enough. And I thought, I never even considered that. She's right. I wouldn't be able to get away. I mean, I'm lucky that that isn't constantly in my head. You know, yeah, I'm aware of it and I do consider it. I don't really get out that much. But that can create anxiety. With PIP, with this one, when you're in the assessment, they are absolutely, totally and utterly going to answer this question themselves based on how you behave. And because for us, if we're brought in for an assessment with a doctor or a PIP, it's our culture means that we show respect. So we try and put a bit more effort into our appearance. We try to sit up straight when we're talking to people. My pain levels increase massively if I'm face to face with someone because I hold my body differently. I breathe differently. You know, I'm using my neck differently. I'm trying to be normal. Again, if you're in the assessment, try and be yourself. Try and be yourself. And I would absolutely take a battle buddy with you for the assessment. I don't want anyone doing the assessments on their own. I don't. Even if we've prepped. So the soldier, ex-soldier, codename ex-soldier, he's sound. He's really, really good at communication, really great guy, get on brilliant with him, proper military sense of humour. I'm going to be on the assessment with him as a battle buddy because PIP will try and trip you up. So it's better to have a battle buddy with you that knows what they're talking about. But if you can't, look at this. Let's look at the points, right? Obviously this is all based on fact, yeah, based on truth. If you avoid engaging with other people face to face and you go to your assessment alone, 0. That's it. If you need social support, having someone with you, you have to reflect that in your assessment. You have to have someone with you, yeah? And you can request, I'm not able to travel around and see people when I'm working with them, and I've worked with people across the country. I don't have to be with them to be able to attend an assessment with them, and we'll request a phone assessment. The more I've done this, the more I've built my confidence. And I've said to people, well, we can't go for the assessment. Even if they're in Stoke, I'm like, we can't go in for the assessment. Yeah, but they're going to want us to. And I'm like, look, I'm sorry, I am not well enough to go in for the assessment. I'm not, because they specifically set it up on the walking distances and the doors and the fire doors, like at the tribunal. I'm not going in for the assessment. We need to request a phone assessment. And if you're in the position where when you go to the doctors or something like that, it knocks you off your feet for days and it takes you time to build yourself back up, why would you make yourself sicker for a PIP assessment? Request a phone assessment. Just request it. That's what the option's there for. And it's because of your health conditions. So I've built my confidence with that, so just request it. So yeah, so that, having social support, make sure you've got someone with the assessment. And just state, and I think this is really easy for us to put in about the psychological distress. If you've got depression and anxiety, which 80% of people that suffer from chronic illness suffer from depression and anxiety, if you're experiencing that, you need to put that in there. Okay, so for example, you could put I avoid mixing with people because I am always worried about my IBS, about being incontinent. I'm embarrassed for that to happen in front of people. My anxiety goes through the roof. If you talk about your depression and anxiety, you need to be blunt about how it makes you feel. Okay, so what I've discovered, which I'm really fortunate, so I don't suffer from depression and anxiety myself, and I do a lot of work to make sure that I do as much as I can to avoid it. I understand there's a chemical imbalance, but I think there is a lot we can do for ourselves, and I'm very good at fighting it. I didn't realise how people's anxiety can very quickly result in risk of harm. that people can, if kept in a situation where they're uncomfortable, it can result in aggression, shouting, throwing things. I'm sorry if that's happened, and I know it's embarrassing, and obviously that's not how you want to behave, but make sure you state it if that does happen to you. And please don't worry that, well, if I say that and Pip catches me and I'm out my house, they're going to think I've been fraudulent. No. This is Pip. We don't have to stay in our homes to get Pip. We don't have to, I did that at the beginning, don't I? You don't worry. You just, because if you are out and you struggle with mixing face to face, you're going to be in an environment where you feel comfortable with people you feel comfortable with. Yeah, but you just state it. Just put the detail. I have never known anyone get points in this section. So my advice is, this is budgeting, right? My advice is plan for 0 points. Plan for 0 points for this: communication, reading, and budgets. Unless you have a severe form of dyslexia, you're not going to get the points. That's just it. It's just the way it is. I'm sorry, it sucks. So making budgets, we're going to go through the points, but again, plan without it. And I mean this, even if you do not make budget decisions because you've got yourself in debt, or you've got your family in debt because you've spent too much, because you've got brain fog, and you're just really crap at money and you can't remember and all that, doesn't matter, you're not going to get any points. I've tried so many times, I just can't get people the points, which sucks. We still win, but I now plan for 0 points on budget. Just 0 points. Even if it's fact. This is what blows my mind. Even when it's fact that people literally do not touch money. Either a friend does it, or their partner does it, or their child does it. They don't touch money. 0 points. I think the way Pip do it is, if they gave you £1, could you figure out if you could afford to buy a tin of beans? Yes, no. If yes, 0 points. They've never asked that. That's in my head how they work it. So if you're able to answer questions on like your name and you're able to have a conversation with them, they could give you a quid so you could buy a tin of beans. That's it. 0 points. I feel like that's how they work it. But we'll go through the points even though it's pointless. Needs prompting. Again, I've tried so many times, 2 points. You won't get the points. Needs prompting or assistance to make simple budgeting decisions. You're not going to get the points. If you're watching this, you're not going to get these points. Because if you're watching this and you're listening to me chat, you're already going to come across too well to get these points. Okay? So you can give it a go, but I think just accept you're not going to get them. Even people with severe dyslexia, you're not going to get the points. I'm sorry. Planning and following a journey. This is something where most people I start working with, probably 95% of the people I've worked with on their PIP, don't understand that they get points in this section. So this is a really important one. This is how it was worded when I did my assessment a few years ago, right? Probably 4 years ago. My assessor, now I've never heard it worded this way since, but she taught me what this means. And this is what I've used with everyone I've helped. Wherever you are in the country, say for example, tomorrow at 0900, I need you to travel from your home on public transport to Loch Ness. How do you feel about that? It's not for anything important. I just need you to go to Loch Ness for the sake of it. How does it make you feel? Would you do that? Would it be possible? Not if your life depended on it possible. In your daily living, would you be able to, tomorrow morning, on public transport, you plan it and go on public transport to go to Loch Ness for the sake of it? Would you do that? Could you do that? With no impact to your mental health or your physical quality of life. Could you do that? No. So let's go to the points. Oh, right. So most people, the answer is no, right? But then what people go is, well, what if you had a doctor's appointment? What if you had to go to the hospital for a scan and it was at a hospital you're not familiar with, how would you get there? And the answer is normally I'd have to go with someone, because I don't know where the parking is, I don't know how far away it is, but more importantly, I don't know what the walking distances are in the hospital, because it's generally not, we don't have to go straight in at the location at entrance. I don't know how long I'm going to be there, what the waiting's going to be like, what the seats are going to be like. And then travelling home, I'm going to be really ill, and then it's going to knock me off my feet for days, is my answer. Okay? And then they go, well, okay, but how about if you had to go to your local shop? So for me, the answer is, I could go to the, currently, be careful. I'm just being really honest, but currently I could go to the local shop. But quite often I stay in the car. Or I'll go with my mum. I'll stay in the car, she'll go in. If I'm feeling able, then I'll go in on my Zimmer frame with my mum. Okay, so that's my situation. Or obviously I have Ollie with me. Ollie's not qualified. She's not qualified yet, so it doesn't count on points. I think most of us are not in this situation. So I want to give an example for, I think I naturally give more examples that are related to pain and fatigue because that's my life. So I probably need to try and do this for regarding, I'll do another version of this for mental health and give examples that way, okay? So obviously needs prompting, needs someone to get you to go. If you're constantly cancelling appointments because you don't want to do it, because you don't want to go out, because of whatever the reasons are, the conditions you've got, the impact to your life, and the negative impact it'll have on your quality of life after you've been, okay? So make sure you get that in their detail. Now, I think they need to modernise this, because planning a journey, if we're in a car, we're just going to put it in Google Maps or a sat-nav nowadays. If it's public transport, which I think most of us avoid because of, you don't know if you're on a bus, are you going to be able to sit down? How long are you going to be stood waiting for it? What's the walking distances to it? So I think that's a bit difficult. So I tend to avoid that one. Sometimes I put it in, obviously it depends on the person. But generally I tend to just go straight to this one, because most people, if it's an unfamiliar journey, need to go with someone. Now, when question people, they always avoid, not always, quite often they avoid asking this question. So make sure you get this in your claim, mandatory reconsideration or tribunal, okay? And I'm working with Super Dad at the moment, and until we bonded, he didn't realise that this was even an option. So we're putting that in. So this is if you're trapped in your house, okay? Completely trapped in your house. And this is, you have to, even if you go into the local shop, you have to have someone or an assistance dog with you, or an orientation aid. What's an orientation aid? What is an orientation aid? Yeah, what's an example of an orientation aid? Compass. Guide cane. Right, okay. Okay, so it's pretty much for blind people. Right, okay, right. I just know that I've never had to use the example orientation aid yet. Yeah, without another person. A lot of us are without, we have someone with us. This is another thing that they'll do, right? We've already done engaging with people face to face. So what they'll do on this one is they'll go, are you able to go to your local shop? Oh, yeah, I can go to the local shop. Okay. Do you ever talk to the people in the shop? Oh, yeah, I'll say hi. So they're like, can do a familiar journey, can engage with people. Got to be really careful. They're tricky fuckers. And I mean that. I'm sorry to describe individuals that are just trying to do their job as tricky fuckers. But they are tricky fuckers, because I truly believe that it's due to the lack of funding, but it annoys me Like I've helped people that they can go to their local shop, which is literally 3 bus lengths from their front door. They've been going there 20 plus years and know who is on shift, that when they get in there, they are safe. Talk to the people, the person like even knows them, they understand their situation, but PIP will try and deduct or withhold points. So I've got better at that over the years. So PIP seem to go through phases in how they trip people up in this. And the current phase is shopping aisles. Right? Now we're going to talk bus lengths because I'm crap at distances, meters, inches, centimeters, yards. I'm crap at it. I used to work in transport, so I'm pretty good with the sizes of vehicles, hence why we're going buses, because we can all relate to buses. Don't let them trip you up by saying to you, how long does it take you to walk this distance? None of us are setting timers. We're not Usain Bolt. We're not there with our Zimmer frames or like thinking, oh, I need to get to a toilet. Hang on a minute, let me get my timer and see how long it takes me to walk 100 yards. None of us are doing that. So I've started digging my heels in and going, I'm sorry, but I don't time myself. I just don't. And I nearly lost a claim with someone when they tried to say time and we're both looking at each other and I'm like, I don't know. So we made the mistake of saying for like 10 meters that it took 10 minutes. And it was so wrong that it just looked like we were lying about his mobility, and we were not. We were not, but they tripped us up. So I then had to appeal it because I'm like, no, they tripped us up. So I keep going, I'm so sorry, but I don't time myself. Now, they will, if you're going for a face-to-face, they will watch how you walk in. They're going to be looking at that, right? I even at one point turned around and went, because we couldn't answer the question, and I said, look, you saw us walk in. So if you need it in time, try and figure it out. They will, if there's CCTV and things like that, they will check that. If you're going for an assessment and their windows are out and they can see where you entered, a lot of the time on the assessments, they'll allocate time. So when you leave, they'll be looking out the window to see how fast you walk. Okay? So even though you're desperate to get home and feeling like crap, don't be like charging it, because walk at your normal pace. So I'm like, I'm sorry, but we just don't time ourselves. I find it easier to talk about how it feels and in bus lengths. So let's go to bus lengths. Right, so a bus is saying 12 meters, right? 12 meters. Right, so really helpful PIP assessors have said 50 meters is 5 buses. I can understand that, okay? 50 meters is 5 buses. Right, I'm coming off the points because we need to have a chat. When you stand up, does it hurt? Is it difficult? Are you struggling with fatigue? If yes, I want you to think about it when you take a couple of steps. When you go from your bedroom to the toilet, do you get a pain increase? Are you knackered by the time you get to the toilet? If yes, you need to have it. You've got to figure this out for yourself. Obviously, I can't tell you which bit you're in, right? But you need to figure out which of these you're in. Now, this bit, if you're on oxygen machine, you're in this bit, right? If you've got lung issues, severe COPD, and you're getting puffed, and you're constantly stopping for breaks, you're going to be like in these, bits, okay? If you can do, so when, I find this one is not clear cut, right? This one's difficult for me to figure out with people, because a lot of people will, and I've done it myself at times, where you push yourself because you're trying to get to whatever bit you're walking to, and then you're absolutely fucked afterwards. You're wrecked. Or we walk so slowly doing what's called a polar plod. So when they walk to the North Pole, South Pole, the best way to do it is a polar plod. Slow and steady, slow and steady. A lot of us do that. But when I did my PIP assessment, I just couldn't convert into my head. So what I did was from here, the room I'm in, through the living room, through the conservatory, into the garden. How do I feel? Knackered. I'd feel knackered and I'd stop for a rest. I'd sit. And I think a lot of us are actually better when we're pottering around the house than going out, because you don't realise how often you sit, get up, potter, sit, get up, potter. You've got, really try and figure it out. And then I use, when I'm working with people, I'm like, and how does it feel? How do you feel when you're moving? If my life depended on it, if there was a flesh-eating zombie behind me, I'd do everything I could to move. I'd move a hell of a lot faster than what I've moved in decades. But if I didn't get out of the way of that flesh-eating zombie in a very short distance, right, so this house, if I didn't get, that's probably, okay, say that distance twice, because I think that's probably like 5, there we go, pain, 5 bus lengths, right? If I didn't get away from that zombie by the time I got to that house, I'd be dead. And I know in a zombie apocalypse, I'm not going to make it. Like, I'm not going to make it. If I can't get hold of my pain meds and everything, I'm just not going to make it. And I'm gutted about that. It's not about if our lives depended on it. It's about us moving and not being in severe pain or absolutely exhausted after we've done the moving. I use a Zimmer frame because I want to fail PIP myself. My goal is to fail. I want to get fit enough to fail PIP in 2 years' time. I currently use a Zimmer frame. I went to B&M today, took my Zimmer frame. Oh yeah, this bit where they're tricking us with the aisles, right? First of all, when you go to a supermarket, down the aisles, there aren't seats, right? And I refused to buy a Zimmer frame for probably about 12 years because I felt like it was failure and I was too stubborn and proud to do it. Big mistake. Best thing I've ever bought. Totally changed my life. Gives me so much more freedom. I'm much less of a grumpy bitch because I can sit in a queue. Queue's the worst. Standing for me is worse. Standing, major pain increase, fatigue gets much worse. As soon as I'm in a queue, my arse is on that Zimmer frame. Sat, and I can sit. It hurts to look up to people, but I can sit. I'm all right. Rest break. If you're in Tesco's and you're not using a Zimmer frame and you would benefit from, if there were seats, would you just sit and have a little rest? Get a Zimmer frame with a seat. And I'm going to put a link to, well, now I can't put a link to a good one because they've stopped making it, so I've got to find it. Try a Zimmer frame. It will change your life. Like you put your bags on it, it's great. My mum puts stuff on it all the time, it's brilliant. If they say to you about the aisles, can you walk down the aisle in a supermarket? Well, the answer is going to be, if you've not got a Zimmer frame, the answer is going to be yes, if you go to a supermarket. So then they're trying to give people 0. So if you're walking down the aisle, but you're declining, you need to say that. I need you to, when you're doing your PIP form, you need to have a think about this when you're walking. Have a think about it. Assess yourself. Be self-aware. If you're finding you're walking and then you lean in your hip on, the freezer section's really good for this. If you notice, the freezer section's good so you can lean your hip and have a bit of a rest, browsing so you don't look like something's wrong, and then set off again. Yeah, me, you know the elephant's feet, the little stools that they have, if I see any of those before I had a Zimmer frame, you'd find me sat on it. I've also sat on the floor in the supermarket when I've gone, I can't go any further, but if you sit on the floor, people start to worry, hence why the Zimmer frame's good. Or having a dog, because people don't really blink if you've got a dog with you. So yeah, this is for about you figuring it out. And I know I've sort of chit-chatted here, which, let's face it, I'm chatty. You can tell the drugs have kicked in, can't you? Figure it out. 5 buses, right? 20 buses. Just take 10 off for your buses, okay? And again, do not let them bully you into timing or supermarket aisles. Like, you can talk in supermarket aisles, but you've got to be honest about the declining. And remember, a supermarket aisle isn't 5 bus lengths. And I do feel like, I know some people that have been asked the supermarket question, and so because they've said, yeah, I can get down the aisle, they've got 0 points on mobility. A supermarket aisle is not 5 bus lengths. So we need to be very careful in how you answer this so it matches your life. Okay, so that's all of the points. You have to, I repeat, you have to check these points and explain your life. Obviously, don't write word for word what the point system is, because they'll just think that you're lying, okay? They'll think that you're blagging it and being fraudulent. You have to link it to your life. You've got to paint a picture of what your life is like. Go through the other guides that I've got, how to fill out a PIP claim, how to do tribunal submission, and some of the shorts I've got on what PIP are looking for, why most people lose. You need to watch all of it, right? And I am trying to give different examples in different guides to try and match as many of your situations as possible, to give you ideas on how you can fill it out for yourself. But I have realised PIP is very focused on physical. So for those of you with really severe mental health challenges, what I was going to say is I'm going to do a guide for people that are struggling with their mental health. But if you have a condition and you want me to go through the points for your condition and the impacts that you have, just comment below or drop me an email. Details are in the description. Because I'm very good at like all my skills over the years of nurse training, humanitarian worker, multi-million pound contract, I think it's all been leading to this. Film writing. So when I work with someone, I can run it in my head like a film. So for Codename Lara Croft, I put it in a guide or something that she watched, and she said about the film. So I explained to her how I saw her living room in my head. I explained to her where the stairs were, what type of sofa she had, what pyjamas she was wearing, where the kids' toys were, where the kitchen was, where the front door was. I just run it in my head. So because of the pain and the fatigue, and I'm really good with OCD, ADHD I've got good experience with, you can, so if I'm trying to get it, I think like it helps us when we understand it with our condition. I'm really good with fibro. If you've got a condition and you want ideas on how you can answer things, just put it in the comments or drop me an email and I'll try and do that. And as I'm working with people, what I'm going to do is for their cases, I'll try and show it. Obviously, if I get their written permission, I'll do the guide on YouTube like the others that I have, like Thank You Wendy, Thank You Codename Lara Croft, and Stunning Tribunal Submission. Wow, codename stunning. I'm just looking at the points and I'm thinking, I don't think PIP's caught up with mental health. You know, with mental health, say for example you're suffering from severe depression, it can be like chronic fatigue. And this is what someone asked me on, how do they put it across for their depression? They cannot do meals. Like most days they're not doing meals because they just can't bring themselves to get up. So my advice was, fatigue is fatigue. You know, depression is, I felt low in my life. I've had times in my life where I felt really, really low. But there was a root cause of that. So I didn't need treatment. I needed the root cause. And I've, you know, if you watch my channel, I avoid GPs for my condition. Because the amount of times GPs tried to put me on antidepressants made me really angry. And I spoke to my specialist about it, because I'm like, hang on a minute, I'm feeling down because my pain is so severe and I'm in a flare-up. What I need is someone to treat the arthritis, and as soon as my pain reduces and I've got more energy, I'll feel better in myself. That's not antidepressants, that's treat my disease. So be careful with that one. Be really careful with that one. What's the root cause? Obviously, I totally support, if you need medication, you get yourself medication, right? Totally support it. But with this person, when they were explaining it, a depression can be, I love the way J.K. Rowling did it in Harry Potter, by the way, with the Dementors that are sucking the happiness from you, you know. I also feel like depression can be like, you've got this weight on you, this draining, heavy weight that has taken who you are as a person, and this weight stops you from getting off the sofa. It stops you from, because it's so heavy, it stops you from getting up and getting dressed, because you can't fight the power that it's. I don't see it as a weight in my head. I don't see it as a weight like at a gym. I see it as blackness, like oozing, heavy, like sticky. So if your arm is on the sofa, or like you go into the bathroom and you have to reach for something, it's like the blackness is in the centre of you, it's in your soul, and it's stopping you from reaching out because you haven't got the energy to fight against the darkness. I think when it's severe depression, it's that. Which is similar to fatigue, except for fatigue, it's not that I've got this darkness, this heavy darkness trying to isolate me from the world. It's that I literally do not have the energy to lift my finger up to press the remote that is like this far from my hand when I'm in bed. I don't have the energy to go like that when my hand's on a mattress, and that's how severe my fatigue can be. You just don't have the energy. You can't do it. When people suffer from depression to that level of severity that they literally can't get themselves up to do a meal because they're so exhausted, I said, just explain it like that. Just explain it as fatigue. Just explain. I think that person was like 3 or 4 days a week, they literally didn't cook because they just couldn't get themselves to the kitchen to even do it. So they're doing exactly what I would do with chronic fatigue, where you'd eat a packet of biscuits. And I think, again, because PIP is very physical, I haven't worked on cases that are purely mental health yet. And I know for a fact I'm going to soon, because there are so many people, and I think as I develop my skill base, I'll share this with you, obviously. And if anyone's out there and you've won your claim and you're only, I use the word only, I don't mean it in a negative manner, but your only condition is depression and anxiety, and you've won, could you send me an email? Because I'd be really interested to see like the detail, if you don't mind sharing it, on your points and how you scored it, how you explained it, because there are millions of people, and don't forget, 80% of us suffering from chronic illness also suffer from depression and anxiety, because let's face it, we've been stripped of who we were, and it's not easy trying to live your life when your body's a war zone. But yeah, if anyone's got that, if you could share it, that would be amazing. Okay, let's wrap up. Hope this was helpful. Obviously I've time stamped it, where it's broken down into blocks so you can come back to bits. This is how you win PIP. If you do not follow this scoring system, you're not going to win. If you do not, when you go through this, if you don't fit into the categories with the points, don't bother claiming, because you're not ready to get PIP yet. If you don't get the points, you're not ready to get PIP. And if you're someone that's fraudulent and is just trying to claim money so you can sit around and do nothing, get the fuck off my channel. This is for people that truly suffer from chronic illness. So for those of you chronic illness warriors, I will speak to you soon.